ended up with mesothelioma because my father worked for the Ministry of Defence in England. He was a lagger, which is someone who would take asbestos off the pipes on board ships. He did that job between 1963 and 1966. And I would have been about 4 years old when he started it. So that is where I think the exposure came in. And I would have been about 7 when he finished there. I have 3 other sisters who were born around the same time as me, between 59 and 63. And when he started work there, my youngest sister was born. My sisters, luckily enough, and I hope it stays like it, don't have any issues. And I really don't want them to. I don't want them going through this hell. I was diagnosed in November 2006. Complete shock, 3 months after my father had died. He had pleural plaque and small cell lung cancer, and he had chemotherapy for the lung cancer, which he never recovered from. So the devastation of losing him was enough without having this on top of it. So at the time, I don't think I really grieved for him because I was still in turmoil about the diagnosis. The treatment I had is chemoembolization, which is a research program in Germany I was lucky enough to find. And that has stabilized my disease. 2008 I had 6 treatments which reduced the mesothelioma by 83%, which was massive. Considering that the January of that year, my oncologist, I'm sure, didn't think I was going to come back in the July, but I was determined to. And when I went back in, it was fantastic news, and he just couldn't believe it. Took him a while to believe in what I was doing, because he'd always advised me to be careful of the people out there who are ready to take money for nothing. And once he saw the paperwork and where I was going, he was very impressed, and he supports me all the time now if I want to go there. Mesothelioma and asbestos has a powerful impact on England. Because there's a lot of shipbuilding in various parts of the country, these are dotted all over the place, and we've got hotspots. So the northwest, or Tyneside and Gateshead, Newcastle, places like that, Barrow-in-Furness, are probably the highest. And then Plymouth, where I come from, is the 3rd highest. So we've got a lot of people that this disease is impacted on. Probably a lot of shuffling it away under the carpet and not wanting to know and not listening. Very hard, very difficult. It's still a bit of a fight going on with a lot of things, but hopefully the latest news from Italy and from the UK with the judges, the 5 judges who've decided when a mesothelioma or asbestos exposure should become an illness and get a compensation claim. That's hopefully going to change things for the future, and hopefully our government will start listening and start looking after the people rather than trying to hide them away. Some people end up with this illness and some people don't. I think the doctors in the UK probably put that down to the immune system, somebody's immune system. A lot of things have been developed now, and what I'm hearing is that there is a rogue gene or cell that you're either born with, or you're inherited, or it's developed through asbestos exposure. So it depends, I suppose, and how strong your immune system is to fight it off. But there are people that work with it and have probably had far more exposure than me and don't get anything. My life and my family, how I support that. I'd try and kick it in the face, I suppose. And I'm in charge. I'm in charge of my life. My disease, I called it Theo. So as far as I'm concerned, Theo's my friend. And he's going to look after me, and I'm going to look after him. And we can go along quite happily forever, as long as neither of us wants to control the other one. So at the moment, we've got a pretty good balance going. And I use a lot of visualization, a lot of psychological, I put psychological things in place that help me. And yeah, I may be a bit crazy, but I think it's working. What I would like to see happen is a great big international ban on asbestos. Linda is doing a fabulous job of bringing 9 countries together. Who would have thought? How fantastic is that? It's a start, and it can get better. And I'd like to see the UK take up on that as well. And Australia, and Belgium, and Brazil, with that lovely lady, Fernanda. Fantastic jobs they're doing. And we're all coming together, and our voice is getting so loud. So I think in a minute it's going to be hard for the world to ignore us. I think the reasons that we're not listened to and all this harm is still out there and people are being exposed with the knowledge is too much money changing hands. There's too many people with too much to lose, and unfortunately they have the more powerful voice at times because money talks. And what Linda and what I would like to see, and probably every other meso warrior wants to see, is that change. And if those people could come down from their offices, wherever they work, and be with a family for a whole week, and see just how devastating this disease is for a family, maybe it would help change their minds. My family's been changed by this diagnosis quite a bit. Well, massively, I'd say, because my future's gone. I live my world for the 3 months ahead of me, and I try not to plan anything over those 3 months, because that way I'm not testing it. And if I test it, I might not get there. So I do 3 monthly goes. That's my way of coping, and trying to keep things normal for the children. We all know that this isn't going to go away, but I'm hoping that Theo allows me to live with it and deal with it and move on at my pace and not expecting any more than 3 months each time. And it's always a great goal when I've reached it that next month. And just keep doing that, and psychologically keeping, as I say, keeping things normal for the children. I've recently gone back to work, which is a good thing, because it makes me feel, well, I'm still here, I'm still able to work. And what a great feeling that is. And my children are seeing me carrying on as their friends' parents. I'm working, I'm getting on with life, and I'm not sat back. I'm feeling sorry for myself. I haven't given up. I have 3 children. I've got a daughter, Siobhan, who's 25, a son, Richard, who's 22, and my son, Kieran, who's 15. And when I was diagnosed, Siobhan was only just 20, and Kieran was 10. So it was hard, very, very hard. It's not something I wanted to tell them. So one of the most difficult things I've had to do. And then to say that I've got 6 to 9 months to live and you've just lost your granddad and you're probably going to be losing me is hard. But it's trying to turn it around, and I've been blessed and I've been able to. The children, we don't really talk about it, very rarely talk about it, although my younger son sometimes talks about it and comes out with some profound things at times. The reactions of my children were My daughter just burst out into tears. She came with me for the diagnosis and she burst into tears. I just got very angry and told the oncologist to not be so ridiculous. Very cross with him, but she was in tears. My little son, who's only 10, is autistic, so his understanding was very different. He knew I had poorly lungs, but that was probably it. And to go into it any further would have been too much for him. We don't talk about the end of life at all, because there's a time and a place for that. And this isn't the time or the place at the moment. My middle son probably ran away a lot from it, didn't face up to it of what was going on. So they all had different ways of reacting. My daughter suffers with depression, so it was very hard for her. As I say, my middle son, Richard, he would run away, and if he can't see it, it's not happening. And my little son, his understanding just wasn't, there wasn't really anything that he did understand, apart from he knew I was poorly. But when I had all the media come out, then of course he knew. But as I say, his understanding was very, very slight. Locally, they've been fantastic. They're very, very supportive. And I've become friends with the journalists now, and I know who I trust and who'll do a good story. So this weekend is going to be big back in the UK, and I'm hoping to get some good local media going for it. But the journalists that I know are very, very good and very professional. And as I say, they've become friends, so I suppose now it's more of a personal touch as well. They've got a vested interest, a personal interest as well. So the stories that they portray are more honest, and they're just great. They've been a great support. My hope for a cure, I would like to see it in my lifetime. I don't know, but I'm hoping that what I am doing is going to pave the way for others, people that are going to be diagnosed with it. It's one of the most miserable and sad diseases around, and it's needless. It's preventable. I think that's where the anger comes from. I would love to see a cure in my lifetime. At the moment, I've had partial remission, and I've got the stability, and that's all I can hope for, and I'm happy with that. I'm hoping to, well, it's in early stages yet, but I'm setting up a charity in Plymouth. It's going to be for pleural plaque, asbestosis, any asbestos-related disease. When I was diagnosed, my lovely daughter Siobhan set up a website for me, and I blog. So I blog quite a bit. I do it every week, as much as I can. And through that website, I get people emailing me, and this lady emailed me. I had done a programme on the TV in 2007, and she had seen me on it, and she never watches daytime TV. Her husband was in hospital having an operation to diagnose whether he had mesothelioma or not. She sat in the ward waiting for him, watching this programme that she never has on in her house, and up pops me, little old me, talking about mesothelioma, and she put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. He did have mesothelioma. She got in touch with me and she said that they were trying alternatives. And I thought, right, that's what I want. I don't want to give up. I want to try. There's got to be something out there. So I followed what they were doing. And Pat and her husband Tony, unfortunately Tony died, were, to me, it's like creating footsteps. And when Tony died, I thought I've got to follow the path he started to see if Germany, which they have found, if it would work, it deserves to be looked into. So I took myself off, no questions asked, just seemed to be the most natural thing in the world to do. Went to Germany, see this wonderful professor, have the treatment, and it worked. So Pat and I are very, very close. The charity has evolved out of that. It's going to be called Tony's Gift, and it's going to be raising money for people to do things. It's not research as such, but if somebody with pleural plaque just gets that diagnosis, we'll give them the money to have a holiday. We'll buy them a washing machine. We'll have different levels of grants, if you like, a grant. And one of the grants is going to be for medical treatment or travelling abroad. If these people can't afford it, they can put in for a grant, and Tony's Gift will hopefully help them. So it's going to be called Tony's Gift, Asbestos Hope Foundation. And I'm just so proud of it. Because without Tony, I wouldn't be here. And I've got so much to thank him for, and for Pat for getting in touch. Sorry. For Pat for getting in touch, and for walking beside me while she's in so much pain, and sticking with me and being so proud of what the professor has done. She's an amazing lady, and we've become so close, and she calls Tony's legacy. So I am just so proud, so proud of Tony's Gift, and I just want it to be a success. I so want it to be a success. And it's fantastic. It's putting something back in, and it's recognising Tony and what he found, and I just wish he could have experienced it and had his life with the love of his life, but unfortunately they didn't get that. But I think it helps Pat to see me survive and fight on in his memory, and she knows how much I love her and appreciate what they've done. So yes, we're hoping to launch it soon, very, very soon, and I will be in touch with Linda as soon as it's up and running.
Keep me in your heart for a while.